Back so soon? Oh no, what happened?
A little incident at the dog park. We gotta head to the vet.
Oh, not again. These bills.
We can use CashNet USA. We can apply in minutes, get a fast decision, and have the money in the account as soon as the same business day. All right, Cheddar, back in the car.
When you need money fast, be the hero. All loans subject to lender approval. Speed of funding is subject to verifications and your bank's processing times. See CashNetUSA.com for more details.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies to same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
Hello, my saucy, pert, and greasy friends. You are listening to a recording from our weekly live stream, which is on twitch.tv/LPNTV. This is just news of the week that we talk about, and it goes up to our feed after we record it. This is not a part of the LDS main season episodes, but please hang out and listen to us chatter along, and then check out our regular episodes as well. Thank you. Enjoy. Like, how would you ever think that that would help anything?
It puts their anger onto the kids. That's
really
why.
Is, yeah.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Some Place Underneath. I'm Amber Nelson.
Natalie Jean. Yay.
Yay. We're just talking about, people that beat their kids, and it's not good.
Tierzo actually just mentioned an update on the Turpin siblings right before we went live. I had not heard about it. I don't know if anybody else has heard about that update. You guys remember the Turpins? It was
I don't. So fill me in.
I feel like you would at least recognize like the family photo of them all in the these Dr. Seuss shirts or the Elvis wedding.
No.
Really?
No, I live in a broom closet, Natalie.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
The abused one, and I do it to me.
I forgot.
I
had to get you out of there today.
Right.
The Turpin family was this parents. They had, I think, 10 children. I forget how many kids they had. They like kept their kids captive. Basically, Ooh. There we are. There's a picture of them. Whoa. If you're watching. The dad really groomed the wife. She was a minor when they started courting, but then she became what happens sometimes to the victims. They become they then victimize people. So the mother and the father kept their kids essentially locked up in like chains and stuff. And one of the daughters, we keep seeing this happen, and we're talking about one of the other ones of this caliber today, but where the kids are asking for help over and over again, no one helps them, and then eventually a kid escapes, says, "Can you help me? My siblings are gonna die." And then finally they get taken out of the house. So the Turpin kids had that situation happen. One of the older daughters escaped in the middle of the night, had not ever really been outside of their house, didn't really know how to read, didn't know much about anything, but found a way she figured out how to steal a phone and like call 911 and was like, "I don't know what to do. I'm outside. Can somebody help me?"
That's a lot. I mean, because if you've never been out to, outside, seen a phone really, that's like if I was in outer space and it was like, "All right, Amber, find the modules and get us back home." I'd be like, "I don't know." Yeah,
no, it's a really tragic, fascinating story, and the kids are badasses, and they've come out and spoken out quite a bit since then. But apparently some of the younger Turpin siblings were in a foster home where they were again abused, which is just infuriating. Like you would be, if you took those kids in, you would be aware of their story because it was very public. And so what? You just thought, well, maybe if I beat them some more and abuse them, what? Like, is that what were you getting a thrill out of it? Like, what's your, why? It's so horrible.
Well, shit.
I'm so mad. I hate that so much. That makes me so angry. But at the very least, I guess these foster parents are being charged. They got caught. That's a good thing.
Could I be a foster parent? Like if I have an office in my house?
I mean, the weird, like, paradigm conundrum thing that we have in this country is that it's seemingly very overly easy to become a foster parent and very, very difficult to adopt. So it's like, I get why it's a difficult loophole stuff to get to an adoption, but foster children are treated as disposable in a lot of places, which is terrible.
And for foster children, that's like, oh, you can come live with me for like a month?
There's a lot there. I brought up a woman that I follow actually before. Her name's Laura. I learn a lot about foster care from her, but there's many different levels of it, and the idea is almost always you want to be able to reintegrate them with their family. Oh. But sometimes that's not possible, and sometimes the bio family is not safe, no matter how much the kid, would maybe want to be with the family. Sometimes the rehabilitation aspect of it is, it's like, not talking about, sometimes parents have drug addiction, struggle with mental health issues, and they can get treatment and help, and then the family can work through therapy. Sometimes though, if the parent is, violent, like things where you might go to jail for child abuse.
Backseat, sorry.
Sometimes they do get sent back, unfortunately.
Damn. Well, Lash says her mom worked for the DCF for 25 years and said that a lot of times the foster parents were worse than the original parents.
Yeah, which is, again, this huge...
And I was worried because I smoke weed sometimes I couldn't be a foster parent.
Oh, no. You'd... I talked about, I think someday I would like to do that. Mm-hmm. It's very scary, but... The kids who are in those situations are they're the most vulnerable in society. And there are some incredible foster parents, but there are also a lot of foster parents who take kids in for the government checks, and also sometimes, I guess, just to hurt them. There was a woman that we covered a while ago on the show who has since died in jail, thankfully, but she was taking in adoption kids and making them do YouTube videos. And they were called like Fantastic Adventures or something, and she was locking them when they weren't doing videos. She was locking them in a darkened closet and like not feeding them and
damn.
stuff. There's a fly.
There's a fly in here. Then damn shit. The phrase "I hope you die in jail" that's worse than "go to hell." I think.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that's worse. Let's put up a poll. What's worse, burn in hell or "I hope you die in jail"?
Yeah. Which one?
Let's see, chat.
Yeah.
Chime in.
Yeah, Psych Ordelia, the foster parents aren't trained properly enough, especially for kids with trauma, 100%. And also some states that have questionable laws in the first place regarding children have been laxing the foster parent rules and processes that they have to go through to get children because they are overrun with foster kids. We could talk about maybe societal issues of why that might be. Certainly, I'm sure if Project 2025 goes through, there'll be way less kids in foster care. So nobody worry.
We just want more kids to go die in machines, Natalie. We don't care about their mental well-being.
Sometimes it does feel like we're headed back that direction. I don't know.
Right. We need Peter Thiel to get more money. Come on.
I know Elon's going to be the world's first, I think, trillionaire.
Cool.
He's about to become one of the first of whatever the number is of that people don't have money of yet.
Right. The thing about that is I feel like these kind of people aren't just sitting in rooms with gold bars because we're not on the gold standard anymore. I don't know what we're on. Let me know. The paper standard, the people dying in war standard, the people dying in factory standard, but they're not sitting in a room full of money. It's all just like assets in the air and it's made up and I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't like any of the words you just said.
Let's see. What's worse? Jailed. I hope you die in jail. Thanks, chat.
I feel like hell would have fun stuff, like go-go dancers and stuff.
Oh, right. And like us.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
I had a stress dream last night that I was going to do stand-up, and then I was doing this thing of like, I'll just figure out my set when I get there, no big deal. And I get there, and Vladimir Putin is in the audience. And then they're like, all right, Amber,
he's a tough laugh.
He's a tough laugh.
But if you can get him to laugh, what an accomplishment.
Right.
But did you? Oh, that's very funny.
And what's the joke? Like, I kill so many people, whatever. How many dead so-and-sos it makes it? How many dead people does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Yeah, I love that one.
You would love that one.
Did you end up? How did the set go?
The
Your
dream cut. It
dream cut.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. Sometimes you're doing stand-up for Putin, and then the whole room just changes. You know what's
Right,
going on.
right.
I just came back. I'm a little delirious. I just came back from my beautiful cousin's wedding in Kansas. It was wonderful and amazing. And then on the way back, I stopped through Vegas to go to the When We Were Young festival.
Did you say I'm not in Kansas anymore?
I did, and everybody laughed and laughed, and we loved it. It was great, though. Fall Out Boy was fantastic. I'm sorry, Tearzo. Tearzo was very upset they didn't get to make it to that show. My Chemical Romance played Black Parade in entirety, which is awesome.
Acid Bath was playing, right?
I don't think so.
No? When We Were Young? They were on the bill.
They were?
Yeah, I think so.
I believe you. There was a lot of bands, so I definitely didn't see a lot of them.
So jealous. I didn't get to go to the Korn concert, and now I'm like thinking about it.
I thought you were going to the Korn concert.
No, I tried to sell my ticket, and I lost money.
Oh.
But that's all right. I'm going to take it as I might have gotten hurt if I would have gone.
You would have gotten too cool.
I'd have gotten too cool. I'd have come too hard out of joy. But whatever. Natalie's the next TOG stream. When is the next TOG stream?
Do you know what that stands for?
Toads or God.
Yes, that Jackie and I do. We do a stream where we decide which would be better in different scenarios, toads or God.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. What do you think? So, like, in a terrarium in your backyard, toads or God?
I mean, God. Toads should not be stuck in a glass.
No. God's like, get me out of here.
God could be like, he could make himself microscopic and it would seem like he was in a huge building. You know?
Right. And he's in all of us, right? He's in you and he's in me. And it hurts.
Sorry, that was an actual question. I believe our next one is November 7th. We had to do some juggling of the schedule. So we're the next Throne of Glass stream.
Oh.
I believe is November 7th, but it's definitely listed on the LPN Instagram calendar stuff.
Yeah, go check out the Last Podcast Network on Instagram, and they have our monthly schedule.
And I know we keep saying this, but I swear to you, the season 4 is coming. It's been a lot of work, and I have been making sure that we do the highest of quality because it's really important to me this season. So that's coming, but we have a lot of Mormon-related content today as well, just by chance, but it's also stuff we're definitely going to be talking about this season quite a bit.
It's fun.
The thing you found was great, though, because I had not seen this update, because you guys are probably familiar with garments, right? If you were never Mormon, you've probably heard us talk about it, and you know, one of the content creators who talks about it, but garments are magic underpants.
They look like 18th century pajamas. You cannot come in them.
No, I don't think it's possible.
I feel like I would get a yeast infection immediately if I put one of those on. But you know, to each their own. But
yeah, I don't think anybody's ever said it's great for their hygiene.
Because you got to flow, you got to breathe, you got to sleep naked, but you can't do that as a Mormon. Sew it up.
Yeah, so garments generally, they started way back when Joseph Smith was still around, and they've shifted styles, which seems like, well, then you're just making arbitrary things up, but whatever. They were really long, and they fit under normal clothes for the time period when they were
I could not
developed.
My sensory issues, it would just be like, get it off of me. Like, you see me now, I'm in like a strapply thing. I need to breathe. My skin needs to breathe.
I feel like if the garments make your body like itch, they would put you in a pyre and set you on fire, because that's very much like, oh, well, she's pure evil.
She's the devil.
Yeah, the clothes are trying to tell us something.
Right. But they might have some new clothes, but it's like alleged. But I tried to sign on to the Mormon website today, and I pretended to be Mormon. They're like, put in your special number because you're given a special number. And I was like, fuck yeah, I'll make it up. And I like made up a bunch of numbers, hoping I could
You tried to hack into the mainframe.
Hack into it, and they were like, "No, sorry, bitch." And
you wanted to see if the garments were what you heard the rumor was.
Right. So I signed on as a non-Mormon, and then I looked up garments, and I tried to order some or look at it, and I just kept getting this weird block. But yeah, I kept getting that. What does 500 mean for all you tech-savvy folks?
Isn't that usually when there's just like a page missing, or is that 404?
I don't know.
Isn't that? I feel like 404 is when something's missing.
I don't know what 500 is, but here's a guy. We can play a clip. He's talking about these alleged new Mormon, because they just decided we can make them sexy now, or sexy. Here we go.
Big news for Latter-day Saints. Now, this has not been officially confirmed by Church News yet, but some international members are seeing new garment styles in the church's online store. On the website, if I change my country to Kenya, for example, it looks like there are sleeveless options for men and women, and a couple of different slip options for women. Of course, garments have changed a lot over the last 100+ years, but to be clear, these new changes are just changes in style. Garment symbolism has not changed, nor have the covenants that we make in the temple. I'm not sure when or even if the church plans on making these styles available worldwide, but I think the more options the merrier. What do you think?
This poor guy too. He's an active member, and he is just fighting for his life in the comments.
Yeah, you can't let those shoulders be seen though, because I might flick my bean. Oh,
the shoulder.
Look at this shoulder.
I mean, I will say a nice set of shoulders. Very attractive.
Yeah, I'm trying to work on my bands in the morning. I've only been doing it for a week. Working out and dieting the first week or so, it's kind of like at your first job before you got a paycheck, because you're just like, what the fuck is this for? What's going on? Why am I even doing this shit? I want to quit. And then you like get the paycheck of the muscle, and you're like, oh,
right. They pay us.
Right, they pay us.
Throwing Esther Bernie's FLDS different than LDS. It is a branch of it. So whenever Joseph Smith died, we'll get into this a lot deeper on the season, but when he died, there was like what will happen is like a bunch of different people will be like, well, I'm the leader now. And so there was a bunch of dissent. One of the biggest ones who created the main one that we know now as the LDS Church was Brigham Young. And then years later, FLDS became because they wanted to branch off. They were saying polygamy no more. We don't want to do polygamy. And they were like, we definitely want to do more polygamy.
Yeah.
And in fact, more wives who are younger. And so they broke off much later on after that initial split.
And they had the FBI raid him.
They're still, one of their leaders is still actively the leader from prison.
Can you imagine being like, he was arrested, he's in prison, giving prison calls, but I still believe him? I think I'd be like, but maybe if you're that in the cult, you're just like, they're testing me. It's a test.
Right.
And then you go further in.
Oh, 100%. And it is also kind of lays into the martyrism of him. He's giving his whole life up for our church. He went to jail. It's still like a Jesus thing, like he's suffering for all of us because he's the real, the real leader of the LDS Church and the real godly God. He's the goddess of all guys.
God wants you to have sex with 12-year-old girls.
It seems like that's what God says to a lot of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not a lot of, take care of the poor and the weak. It's mostly just like, get your DS'd by a child.
By a kid.
So let's see, Nicole Michelle Davenport, who has taken the reins from Jeff's. I actually don't know off the top of my head, though. But he's still doing Orange F's. He's still doing stuff from jail. But I actually don't remember off the top of my head who's the outside person right now. I watched Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey, on Netflix, and it was bonkers. Yeah, it sucks. It's a big bummer.
Because when you're telling women to speak like this, you're essentially taking away all of their power. So they can't just speak like a normal human being. This is just my normal speaking voice. But if you just have to speak like this the whole time, everything's just going to be taken away from you.
It's really it's not funny, but it's really fascinating when you see a lot of these high control groups, the FLDS, and I'm thinking of the IBLP off the top of my head, where their women's wardrobes are literally specifically designed based on whatever fetish the guy had at the time.
Like the feet being shown?
Yeah, IBLP, one of the only things you can show on your body for Bill Gothard is you can wear open-toed shoes. He's actually very encouraging of it. And later on, all of these girls who've come forward said, like, he would make me play footsie with him. He'd take his shoes off and like rub his toes on my feet and all this stuff because he's a creep. And then in the FLDS, they have that this very unique hairstyle, and it was because one guy really thought it was a hot look on ladies, and so they all have to do, like, for religious reasons, they have to like wear this weird hairdo that's like a bouffant kind of on top. Whatever, man. I'm sick of everybody.
I'm sick of everybody. I should come in. Oh my God, I should get my bangs like that, like a pinwheel thing.
Oh yeah, you want
to like blasted?
I mean, you'd probably be able to serve with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you look good.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we have that Garmin thing is interesting, especially because that came from an active LDS member, but he's still not sure if that's the case. And I think that he was saying it was in Kenya because of probably like temperature.
Yeah.
But lots of places in the LDS church, like Arizona is extremely hot, so I don't know. Whatever. Let's just make it up as we go along. Natalie, we should start a religion. I'm not. That is
tax-free.
I do not want to control a bunch of people. That sounds so annoying.
I'm going to tell men to do with their bodies, and it's all thong bikinis.
Man, you're looking at a lot of sweaty ass. I don't know if I want to look at that all day.
Like in a thong bikini.
I just feel like it would be the worst trying to micromanage a huge group of people.
Oh yeah.
What a nightmare.
Yeah, that'd be bad. And like make the men like design their pubic hair like the women's bangs do, like a big poof and like a wave.
Oh yeah, like you do like a bouffant of his pubes. All right, I can kind of get behind that.
Men are seen and not heard. That's right. Throwing shade for Bernie. That's right.
So another thing I wanted to touch on briefly today is we've discussed at length the Frankie saga, it's an LDS family. Ruby Frankie is in jail right now for abusing her children. They were a very well-known vlogger family called 8 Passengers. We've talked about them at length. I wanted to bring them up because the oldest daughter, Sherry, who was trying to save her siblings for a long time before, again, another family where a million red flags were up. Police called, CPS called, all these things. Nobody did anything until this little boy, one of the children, escaped and begged for his life. And that's how they got saved by this child, even though there was a million people around trying to do something and none of the authority would do anything.
And he did it for like him and his younger sister, right? Because they were both locked up together and he was the older brother. Oh my God.
Yeah. And I think he probably felt like he might die. And that's why he managed to do this a really brave escape from this house of Jody Hildebrandt, Ruby Frankie's associate, whatever you want to call that. And I think he really just overcame physical and mental prisons that he was put into to try to save his sister, which is heartbreaking. And I hate how much we see these cases where the kids have to save themselves based on the way maybe our systems are set up to not protect children, maybe that there are religious communities that are kind of shielding these things happening to save face. I don't know. But anyway, Sherry Frankie was trying to save. She had left the home. She was trying to speak out. She called CPS on her parents a bunch of times. They didn't do anything. She then, became very vocal, publicly open on her Instagram about how much she'd been trying to get Jody and her mother arrested, which is, again, so brave and just like, I can't imagine the psychological, clusterfuck going on when you're trying to put your own mom in jail, but her mom deserves it. But I wanted to bring her up today because she is, do you want to pop that article up before the video? The USA Today one. So Sherry Frankie here. Oh, that was FLDS hair.
Oh, there we go, yeah.
So if you're watching, this is a picture of FLDS hair.
Yeah, pubes designed like this.
I'm with you on that. Okay, so this is, can you slide down to that screenshot there in the image? Yeah. So if you can see here, we're about to play this video of her speaking. She went up in front of the Utah legislature. I think she's about 20 years old. And she is speaking out not against her mom now, but against family vlogging in general, which if you ever watch this show or listen to this show, you know that that's something that we both are very against. And I feel like it's going to be one of the things that we're going to hopefully look back on in this time period and like be disgusted by.
There's people like you called out in the video we're about to see. Apparently, like people were in the comments like throwing shade at her, saying like, just let the family vlogging continue. We love your family. And
yeah.
Crazy. Like,
yeah. So because Sherry Frankie is very vocal on her Instagram and her social media. And after she gave this speech that we're about to watch, she posted about it and gave the whole transcript of it in her Instagram in her comments. And there was, of course, a bunch of people supporting her and telling her she's super brave and all this stuff. And on the other side of it, a lot of grown-ass adults trying to argue with her. Obviously, people who consume mommy vlogger content and being like, you just because your mom's evil, why are you trying to take away all of our basically the cognitive dissonance of not understanding that you're proving her point by saying, I'm so obsessed with this child I've never met's personal life. How dare you try to take that away from me? Which is just the thing she's trying to explain to you. Like, that's not normal. That's not okay.
I remember when Mila Jovovich, she has a daughter, and when she was around 12 or 10, she was showing her on Instagram, being like, look, she's like a young model. And then people were saying, why doesn't she have open DMs? And then Mila Jovovich had to write in like, hey, so she's a minor. We don't think it's appropriate for you as a stranger to be messaging her. And people just didn't, they're like, she's 10 years old. Even other women were commenting, like, why can't I message her? Like, what's your fucking problem?
Oh God, it's so weird. It's so weird. I do wonder if there is just this. Obviously, intellectually, they probably understand that's a real person, but this disconnect of maybe just being like they need to have it put into a perspective of like. So imagine this is you. Imagine this is your niece or your child, and this is the exactly same thing that's happening to these kids. They're not actors. This isn't a show you're watching. It's as if somebody came into your home and filmed you on the toilet all day. Like,
right, and you have no rights. Oh, yeah. Delpha Coco, we're talking about family vlogging. Yeah. And Natalie's saying, like, you know, your parents or your sort of supervisors, your guiders, you don't really have many rights as a kid. So they can come in and film you on the toilet, getting a new training bra, all of these. Which they do. Like all of these very embarrassing moments that happen to all of us that should be private with the family, but now are just anybody can get it, and then anybody can DM the family, DM the kids.
And so this is exactly, let's listen to Sherry Frankie's speech here that she just gave, because it's incredible.
And marketing strategies. The difference between family vlogging and a normal business.
1 second.
Seltzer water. I'm not drinking booze. Just kidding.
Throw some in there. Some schnapps.
Right. Thank you for having me today. My name is Sherry Frankie. My mother, Ruby Frankie, is a prominent family vlogger that was arrested last year for child abuse. I don't come today as the daughter of a felon, nor as a victim of an abnormally abusive mother. I come today as a victim of family vlogging. My goal is not to present any idea of a solution to this problem, but to shed light on the ethical and monetary issues that come from being a child influencer. When children become stars in their family's online content, they become child influencers. It is more than just filming your family life and putting it online. It is a full-time job with employees, business credit cards, managers, and marketing strategies. The difference between family vlogging and a normal business, however, is that all the children are employees. Children from before they are born to the day they turn 18 have become the stars of family businesses on YouTube, Instagram, and other social media platforms. Utah is specifically a hotspot for family content due to the LDS culture around family and the goal to share the church with the world. We also have large families, which makes family content more lucrative. Specifically, many parents film their regular family life as an online video blog called a vlog. But I want to be clear that there is never, ever a good reason for posting your children online for money or fame. There is no such thing as a moral or ethical family vlogger. At first, family vlogging is an alluring business that can bring high revenue. For my family, it became the primary source of income, as is often the case with most full-time family vloggers. Many child influencers are paid for their work, as I was, and this money has helped me in my adult life. However, this payment was usually a bribe. For example, we'd be rewarded $100 or a shopping trip if we filmed a particularly embarrassing moment or an exciting event in our lives. Or other times, simply going on vacation was expected to be payment enough, because most kids don't get to go on regular and expensive trips. Never mind the fact that the child's labor is actually what paid for the vacation or trip.
Can you stop for a second? Yeah, I don't know if you caught all that, but she's saying, I was bribed to film embarrassing moments.
$100.
Her parents got so comfortable with it. It's not just her family, it's all of them. And she just said there is no ethical way to have a family vlog, which is a big deal for this kid, because if you guys aren't familiar with her entire family, all of her extended family are also family vloggers. She has 3 aunts who are also family vloggers, because family vlogging is a massive industry within the LDS Church. And Sherry is still an active member of the LDS Church. She still has a very strong faith. And she also is much closer to her aunts, who kind of were helping her, but I'm glad that she feels like she has them. I question their decision making, but she's going against them because those families are still doing it. And so she's kind of coming into this place almost by herself, like utterly. I'm hoping she has like people around who are supporting these ideas that she's trying to get out. But she's going against her church. She's going against her family members. She's going against a lot of probably the people who had followed her and like supported her. As if you go to her comments on her socials, a lot of them are mad at her for doing this.
And she's young. She's like, what, 20?
I think she's about 20. Let's listen to a little bit more.
No law in place to guarantee that child influencers get any money from their work. If a family account does not become an LLC, parents are taxed heavily for paying their children. But parents also receive tax write-offs for the regular clothes that they wear, the gas money used to drive places, and even the houses they live in. Anything that is filmed can be written off. And even after registering their business as an LLC, there is no guarantee that children will get paid. Any payment that does happen is under the table with no paper trail. And how do we determine how much a child should make from appearing in family content? What price is worth giving up your childhood? But despite any monetary payment children may receive, don't let this excuse the 24/7 labor that these children are subjected to. As a child, I was fully aware that I was an employee. The business was successful when I was happy or when I shared my hardships with the world. Some of our most popular videos were when my eyebrow was accidentally waxed off and the whole world saw a crying teenager when I just wanted to mourn in private. Or the time I was violently ill and got the leading role in the video that day. My friends became scarce because dates were filmed and none of my friends wanted to be on camera. The camera never stops and there is no such thing as a break from filming. At the time, I tell you I had a choice in what was filmed, but I've come to learn that every child influencer, in a way, suffers from Stockholm Syndrome. Most child influencers would probably tell you they have full control over what is posted, but the reality is that their parents bribe and shame them into posting their most vulnerable moments. In fact, many child influencers may tell you that they enjoy their work because of the monetary perks they receive or the fun experiences that they can have. After all, what child would say no to a fun vacation or shopping spree if all they needed to do was film an embarrassing moment? But as children, we do not understand the consequences of filming our lives and posting it for the world to see. We cannot give consent to our parents to post our lives. In any other context, it is understood that children cannot give consent, but for some reason, people think family vlogging is different. I did not realize the impact that filming as a child would have on me now. My social media became flooded with rumors of having sexual relations with my own brother, to being called a baby birthing machine at the age of 13. All these things have stuck with me, and and I will forever live between the ages of 13 to 17 in many of my viewers' minds. In addition, pedophiles stalk the internet, specifically seeking out child influencers. I promise you that the parents are aware of these predators and choose to post their children anyway. I understand that this is a big issue to tackle, and I am not asking you to ban family vlogging, though that is my end goal. I also understand that as Utahns, we don't appreciate big government overreach. But when it comes to protecting children, it should be a bipartisan issue. The only people harmed by child influencer laws are the parents exploiting their children. While this may not seem like an issue now, as child influencers in Utah continue to grow up, I foresee there will be legal crises, with these children realizing that vlogging has brought severe emotional distress, or these kids may realize they don't have an appropriate amount of money to show for their labor. After all, how does that child know how much they should have made versus what their parents may or may not have paid them? Let's deal with this now before we reach that point. But even despite a good paycheck, I want to be absolutely clear that there is no amount of money that can justify selling your soul as a child to the world. In no other industry would we justify unregulated child labor with a huge paycheck, and we should not do that here. If I could go back and do it all again, I'd rather have an empty bank account now and not have my childhood plastered all over the internet. No amount of money I received has made what I've experienced worth it. While I don't have all the answers nor many feasible solutions for this problem, I am proud to be one of the first child influencers in the state of Utah to speak against this issue. I don't want people to look at me and blame my unique circumstances with a mother in prison to the Frankie criminal case. Family vlogging ruined my innocence long before Ruby committed a crime. I promise you that my experiences are not unique and are happening to child influencers all over Utah and the country. So let's tackle this issue before it becomes a bigger crisis than it already is. Thank you.
She's incredibly brave.
I know. I'm so proud of her. Like, without trying to sound condescending, I'm really, really proud of her for doing that. It goes against everything that she was taught was good and right, you know? So I know that she really still cares about her faith and her family and all that stuff. So that is like a really big deal for her to have said all that stuff. I just wanted to let it end up playing out because everything she's saying is so important.
Yeah.
And just how anybody could like argue with her about how that she's wrong in this is wild to me.
Right. No, give me back my family vlogging. I want to see it. The phrase when she said, I had a sick day, so I was the star of the show. Like,
yeah.
when the kid is sick, you give him crackers and 7-Up and tell him to go to bed.
Yeah.
You don't put him on camera.
And she made it very clear that, you know, as sex offenders reach out to the children constantly, and she said the parents absolutely know this and they don't care. Because they're making money. So a lot of people try to defend family vloggers being like, well, they don't know what's going on. You know, they don't realize that all these people are out there preying on the kids. They absolutely know. And a lot of them are making money directly from the predators, and they know that. Roller Gator, maybe we need something like a Coogan Act, but for kids of influencers. Yeah. So while I'm not disagreeing with you, it's more complicated because there are laws that are starting to get passed very slowly regarding trusts, like that kids would have to be given a certain amount of money. However, the issue with trying to regulate family vlogging in the same way is that the vlogs are when it's a Coogan Act kid in a union production, you're not in their bedrooms in their house, their only private spaces. You're not just alone with the family members. You have production, you have nannies, you have tutors, it's not like everybody in the film industry is looking out for kids, but there are a lot of people looking, and there are a lot of people maintaining regulations, even if it's just for legal reasons, even if they don't care about the kids. With vlogging families, the only overseers are the parents. And so we've just set them up as, oh, well, because they're the parents, they must know best for their kids. So we just let them do what they're going to do. And unfortunately, some parents aren't looking out for the best interests of their own kids. They're looking out for money. They want money.
Right.
They want attention. And they get it from exposing their children to everything that's bad in the world. So it would be really hard to regulate it in that way. And I personally agree with Sherry in that the goal is to eliminate it. It should be illegal.
Yeah, just eliminate family vlogging. I like that she called her Ruby and not Mom.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's making it really clear that that woman took everything from her as a child, like took away her innocence, took away her privacy. And this idea that they were living in the contradiction of any really, LDS or otherwise conservative family saying like, we're teaching modesty and we're doing all these things while also filming their child shaving their legs in the bathtub for the first time for money. It is a contradiction of itself. It makes no sense. It's nonsense.
Right.
Saying that you're like doing this like conservative family values modesty thing while also showing your children in their bathrooms and bedrooms and like filming, talking about sex with them, filming. That was in that family they were showed their little girl trying on her first training bras, with not only putting it on the internet, but also like having her with her brothers and her dad and all this stuff. And it's just like, what? In what fucking world would this be normal? Like considered just like cool and fine if you weren't putting it into the frame of like, it's like, it's like a reality show. It's cool. Don't worry about it. If you just saw somebody doing that, watched a kid being like recorded just imagine being in the department store and seeing a little kid
I'd be like, oh,
trying on bras and their parents going like, yeah, turn to the camera. Yeah. Tell everybody how you feel about it. Yeah. How does it feel on your body? Do you feel uncomfortable right now?
I hate it. I get weirded out by the Rizzler, which is this, I think I've sent, the people that go, we got the boom, the Costco guys.
Yes.
And then they have this one random kid whose dad is nowhere to be seen. And they're all like, how do you rizz on the ladies, Rizzler? He's like 10 years old. And he goes like, you do this on the side and this on the side, you do this. And he does the face, he does the thing, and he's so over it at 10 years old. It freaks me out. And then I go on the comment section, like, yeah, Rizzler, haha, chicken bake. And I'm like, are we all chicken bake fried in the head? What's going on?
Yeah, man, brain rot. That is pure brain rot. I don't know what else to call that.
It is brain rot. Have you guys seen that We Got the Boom? I think I'm just kind of like...
I know what you're talking about because it's that popular.
And then they're just doing this dance. I'm like, is the asteroid coming? I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
It might be.
It's just this. We got the boom. I mean, I guess it's working because I've got it in my head. I've got it in my head. And I've also decided I'm too sensitive for Costco. I've been twice so far, and it's just not for me, baby.
Sensitive in which way?
And just like big cars going and then giant shopping carts, and like no one gives a shit if you live or die.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think people are addicted to certain emotions and feeling angry and like, get out of my way, get out of my space. That's like very Costco coded. I would go for the meat to get like the big packages of salmon because that looks delicious, but I think people are just so ingrained in these ideas of like, give me the kid. I want to see the kid shaving. I want to feel disgusting. I want to feel angry. You just kind of ruminate in this.
Yeah, I think, yeah, totally. And also something about, I don't know if it's like feeling a sense of power over the kids or something. I talk about all the time how I was obsessed with the Duggars when it was still like a TLC show because I didn't understand, and I think a lot of us didn't understand the gravity of what was happening. We didn't really understand the violation that was going on. And so it's not like I don't understand why people get like drawn into these kind of shows. Same with, I used to watch John and K+8 all the time. And that show's messed up as hell if you go back and look at it.
Really? What do they do?
It was a couple, they had twin daughters and then they had sextuplets. And she's the one, basically the mom from that show was the original Karen haircut.
Right. And then they got a divorce. He's the brunette and he has like eyes that are like brown and like piercing, right?
Yeah, they're piercing, I guess. They're definitely brown.
Yeah.
I wouldn't describe him, like, his physical features don't, like, look like anything specifically to me.
Sure.
Like, he's not, like, handsome or anything. But he's not ugly.
No, I remember they got a divorce and people were like, oh, he's got a hell of a child support to pay or something, right? Because it was, like, 8 kids.
They were famous for a while. Like, they were getting, like, paparazzi'd and stuff. These little toddlers. And the mom became this big like phenomena online because people didn't like her because she was like really mean, and you go back and you look and she's like real mean, and she says some bad stuff. Let me tell you.
Glad I didn't really have a TV. I don't know what's going on.
No, yeah, I can't believe. What were you doing? Enriching your life and not watching this show?
I guess I haven't seen a lot of stuff. Never seen The Sopranos.
Well,
that's different.
Sopranos and Johnny K Plus 8 are basically the two shows.
That's it. That's all this TV is.
Yeah. But she ended up institutionalizing one of the children, and it's been this entire horrible mess. And it really, her journals got leaked, and it all was talking about how much she like couldn't stand this child, and like how angry she got at him, and like how scared she got because she just like all she wanted to do was hit this kid.
She put her baby boy in an insane asylum.
Mm-hmm.
No, he was abused by his mom.
Yeah, it was awful.
What's he doing now?
He just spoke out again recently. He was trying to enlist in the Marines, and he got denied because of his
mental health issues.
Well, because of the record.
Because of the fuck. But I feel like something like a Marines might be good-ish for him, because it's like, here's some structure. You're not on camera.
Well, the reason
physical stuff to get the brain bad out.
That's the reason that he was speaking out recently, was to saying, my mom has taken another thing from me. I can't do this thing I've really wanted to do.
No.
Yeah, it's not good. But I used to watch that show, so I'm not calling people who consume that like monsters, but
because they don't know. Like when I saw like previews for those, I was like, oh, that's a weird family, and I just never saw it.
Yeah.
That's it.
But sort of trying to get your mind around the reality of what is happening, I think, is just like really important for people to try to do, because those are real children. Those are like real kids' lives being destroyed for entertainment, which is just so fucking, I don't know, that seems gross to me.
God, it's hard to call this out. You know, sometimes I'm like, what am I doing in my life? I could just do a bunch of coke and then be a trad wife and then make content with my kids.
Wait. I guess you could do cocaine. I guess an actual trad wife was on a bunch of uppers and downers, right? Mommy's Little Helpers?
Yeah. Get me on some of those. Just pop out a bunch of kids, put them on TV, and just not think a thing about it.
Yeah, that is a way.
That is a way, because look, we're all sad over here, but I could be happy on drugs and pimping out my kids. What's wrong with me?
Yeah, I don't know. What's wrong with you. Wrong with me. Yeah, I think it would be really nice just to kind of let go, you know, just like not care, just be like, whatever.
I could easily like just go and make some bread and be like, women shouldn't vote, and then just get money. From sad people.
You literally could, unfortunately. I do think that dam is breaking, though. There's like too many now, so there's not as much money to be made. You have to find a new angle to make people mad.
Oh God! And I think it's gone. Like, I don't think you can go any further on the trad wife stuff. I mean, because
there's always one more layer,
one more secret little abominable layer.
I'm trying to think what you could take it to another level.
I could sew my lips shut on camera. With the fucking thread, I could do that.
Just to support men's rights.
I could. Secrets. Whatever.
Okay. I know we talked about that for a while today. There was a couple other. Do you want to talk about some other horrible thing that you had?
Right. Oh, yeah. So there was a very horrible sexual assault that happened in India, where this woman was assaulted so badly that it took her life, and then the police, they covered up for it. I will say that there are protests all over this town in India, this area in India, and it's honestly good to see a lot of men come out and say, hey, this is like really fucked up, and they're dismantling, they're going out in the streets, out in the schools, out in the medical industry, so like, let's give a watch.
More than 1 million doctors in India have started a 24-hour shutdown in protest against the rape and murder of a female trainee doctor. The 31-year-old doctor was attacked at a hospital in Kolkata last week when she had gone for a nap during a long night shift. A volunteer who worked at the hospital has been arrested, but the victim's family believe it was a gang and that more people were involved. The Indian Medical Association described the killing as a crime of barbaric scale due to the lack of safe spaces for women. Patients are being turned away from hospitals and clinics except for emergency cases, as doctors call on the government for better working conditions and protection for women.
That actually is really moving.
There's a lot more protests. I mean, like whole schools, like universities are shutting down because people are just like walking out of class, just protesting, basically saying like this has to stop. We can't keep doing this.
Wow, I hadn't followed that story at all. That's I mean,
it's pretty.
It's
brutal.
not good, but it's.
No.
I'm glad. Especially like you said. Again, men are not bad inherently,
No.
but sometimes in those situations, it's like all women fighting for it. So it's nice to see a bunch of dudes out there screaming.
Right. Her assault was so bad. I don't want to get into details, but I mean, her bones.
That's why they thought it was gang.
Yeah, I mean, her bones her hips were broken. Like
Oh my god.
This was horrible.
And the police, like,
they wouldn't let her parents in to see, and then like one of the cops might have been in on it, and then there was just so much male fluid found in her body. So it was so horrific, and that's a horrible thing that happened. There are a lot of people coming out. That's how horrific it is, and they're still protesting. This happened a couple months ago, but they're still protesting to this day.
I mean, good. That actually makes me also want to bring up briefly a longer case we covered before, the Sandra Birchmore case, which is another cop-based assault and murder that is not Boston. Where the fuck is it called? I know what I'm talking about.
We're both looking down on our computers.
The Arizona one?
Yeah.
No, this is it is Massachusetts. His name's Matthew Farwell. I keep forgetting the name of the town that it happens in. I don't know why I can't keep that memory in my brain.
What happened?
We covered her case 1 or 2 ago.
Mm-hmm.
She was a kid who was in the Explorers program through the police force, and she was groomed by multiple police officers, impregnated by one in her early 20s. They groomed her for years. She was like 13 when she started it. And then the man that impregnated her staged her life ending.
Oh, right. They was like cameras catching him going into her apartment, and then she was hanged, but then in her autopsy showed that there was strangulation.
Yeah. So he tried to make it look like she did it, and for like 2 years he got away with it and was continuing to be a police officer. And people fighting and being angry about this eventually caused like a federal case to open up, but it took a while. And it was him, it was his twin brother, who was also a cop, another cop, and then another fucking cop were all assaulting her. And she, people are furious for obvious reasons. And so I'm bringing it up also just to bring up, they're doing a lot of protests out there. Her family and her loved ones want her name to keep being brought up, because this is why people are afraid of cops. This is why people want this system broken down, because these dudes just got away with this. He was like, they were on their police shifts and they covered each other like backs so that they could assault this little girl and groom her. And
right, because people are like, oh, if something goes wrong in your house, you're going to call the cops. I'm like, well, yeah, but hopefully the person that comes in wouldn't want to assault me. You know what I mean? Like, hopefully I would like trust you.
Yeah.
And you're not like raping some little girl on the side.
Yeah.
Hopefully if you're coming in my house and helping me.
Because this is, you go like, oh, I hate the bad apple thing, because the idiom, if you finish it, is one bad apple spoils the bunch. But you never say that part, which is to say, if there's one bad apple, it ruins everything.
Right. It's kind of like the bootstraps mentality. That was originally intended to be a joke, because you can't pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Right.
You physically can't. And then we've just sort of adopted it, like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Do this thing that's impossible.
Right.
Yeah. But even if you go by that idea of, oh, just you can't, there's going to be bad guys everywhere. This is a systemic issue, because they all were helping each other. They were like bros in arms to make sure that they could each get away with doing this to this little girl who went into this program as a vulnerable child. She had lost a lot of her family to death. And like, so she, they had put her in there for her protection and to give her like self-esteem, and a bunch of dudes in uniforms came and destroyed her life and then killed her and her child when she became inconvenient to them. So there's that. And then this is another one too that's in the same idea of these like positions of power and how dangerous they are for predominantly young women, but like, you know, kids in general. But this is a Border Patrol agent named Aaron Mitchell. If you want to pull up, yeah. So he was a Border Patrol agent, and he's in jail now. He had basically almost killed this child. He used his credentials in his uniform to pull this 15-year-old from school who was, I believe, they're not saying it, but it sounds like she was undocumented. And so he was pulling her from school, asking to see her papers. And when she didn't provide them, he's like, I have to take you in. But what he did instead was tie her up and assault her for hours.
No.
Tried to almost strangle her to death. And then these kind of dudes who are going to try to do this are going after the most vulnerable people. So
yeah,
he was a Border Patrol agent to access these kids who he thought nobody would, like that kid would be too scared to say anything. Unfortunately for his stupid ass, that girl immediately reported it.
Yeah.
Which is like fucking badass of her to do, because that must have been so terrifying. But he was banking, I know he was banking on, oh, well, she doesn't want to get in trouble. She doesn't want to, get taken back to Mexico.
She's undocumented. Like, what's she going to do about it? And again, because he's in uniform, like, I'm probably going to trust you. And I would hope that you would be good.
Or at the very least, know that you don't really have a choice if he comes to your school in a uniform and says, you have to come with me.
I have to come with you, and I will, and not this shit.
And so he did get arrested for this. He fucking better not be getting out. But he, I feel as though there is no possible way that that's the only child he's done that to. There's just no way.
Because it's too brutal. Like, who does it their first time?
Yeah, I just can't envision that he wasn't doing this to other kids. And this is the first one, perhaps, who was brave enough to stop him. Again, another kid saving themselves from this. But yeah, so that's why people say they don't want these authority figures controlling people like this, like why the police force doesn't work, why Border Patrol is a fucking mess, because they repeatedly get caught doing this, and this kind of power is obviously not good for their psyches. They shouldn't be able to have that access to kids. Anyway,
well,
that's fun.
Yep, there was a big. Never mind. There was a big, probably why I had a bunch of stress dreams. Because I live in Hollywood, and right when I was going to bed, just a bunch of alarms were going off, like a couple avenues down, and I tried looking up what it was, and it was like, man got shot in a car, man dead, man going down, man burglarized, and I'm like, oh man, whew, all right.
That's fun. Cool.
That's fun.
It's exciting to live in the big city.
In that big city. I wonder, because I'm used to living in kind of like war zone type areas. I wonder if I were to go live in the mountains or like a suburb or something.
Mountains are scary to me.
Would I freak out like 2 weeks in?
I think everybody knows that I find the forest much more terrifying than a city.
Oh, I love the forest. I've only ever lived in the deep forest or in the city. I've never lived in a suburb. I feel like
suburbs are a nightmare.
They're a fucking nightmare. I cosplayed being a family woman and like just dog sitting in the suburbs. Not you, like our friend that lives way out.
Yeah.
And after like a week, I wanted to stick my head in the oven. I was like,
and that's a cool area too, where you're talking about. Where I went to high school was like a dystopian hellscape. Like it's the cul-de-sacs. It's like it's what now is be considered Trump country. It's also where the kid who tried to assassinate Trump went to school. He went to my high school.
Wow.
Yeah, that suburbs
are. He's dead.
He's dead. He's super dead.
He's dead. They killed him.
Yeah. He's super.
Which he shouldn't have done that. You can't do that. You shouldn't do that.
No, you shouldn't do that.
I don't condone that.
Shouldn't.
at all.
You shouldn't do it.
We got a silly video to end it, though.
Do you want to thank for the
let's thank
subs?
the subs.
Thanks subs tonight. Stay for Puffed, Arielios342, Tinkerbell 6_66. Thank you guys so much for the subs this evening.
Yes, we've had a lovely time so far. God, we've talked about a lot. A lot of rape.
Okay, let's go end it with a different thing.
If you scroll away from this video, then what are you doing? Look, there's a student eating a Kit Kat bar when he notices something incredible. What is it? Look closely. After he took a bite, he saw what looked like Jesus inside the Kit Kat bar. We can't make this up. Jesus is real. He wants a relationship with you. Subscribe now and share this video with a friend.
She was like, we can't make this up. I was like, I think you just did.
Is that?
I think you just
Was she being serious or is that satire?
She's being serious. I am for some reason I'm on Christian algorithm on Instagram. Are you guys? Because every other scroll is just like Jesus is real, or like long skirt and the holy blessing. Long skirt and the holy blessing.
Oh yeah, I remember those ones.
You know.
So you think Jesus is hanging out in the inside of your Kit Kat bar?
He wants to have a relationship with you, Natalie.
That's just crazy to think that he would show up from a teeth mark you made inside of a candy bar, and he'd be like, "Hey, remember me?
Hey, I'm here. Remember me? What's up?
What's going on?
Hey, what's going on?
You gonna lick me?
You gonna lick me?" I want to get one of those toasters that burns the Jesus on it.
Yeah.
Do they still have those?
I'm certain they do.
Let me see.
All right, we're gonna go buy toasters, everybody.
Jesus toaster. Jesus toaster for sale. Come on, load. Load
People
it.
they're waiting with bated breath.
Why does the internet not load when I need it to? And it's so fast.
The devil's making it so that you can't have it.
I don't know. What I would pay $20.
All right.
Jesus toaster for sale. Come on. Well,
we're never gonna know. It's a cliffhanger.
It's a cliffhanger. I found Bob Ross and Darth Vader, but not Jesus. Bezos is stopping me. Yeah, it's still loading.
All right.
Well, we've had a great show.
Yeah, it's been great.
Tune in a couple weeks from now, right?
Enjoy whatever kind of image is on any of your toasts tonight.
A Jesus toaster. Oh, it's on Amazon.
All right.
Fuck, it's loaded. $50? No, I'd pay $20. Yeah, this $50. The Jesus milk creature Jesus toast.
Oh, that's cute. All right. I'd eat it.
All right. Well, $50.
Yep.
I'd rather just have $50. I was gonna be like, somebody get it for me, but no. Save your money.
Get it for the lady.
Get it for the lady. All right, bye guys. I love you.
This show is made possible by listeners like you. Thanks to our ad sponsors, you can support our shows by supporting them. For more shows like the one you just listened to, go to lastpodcastnetwork.com.
Hey, I'm Paul Scheer.
I'm June Diane Raphael.
And I'm Jason Mantzoukas.
And we're the hosts of How Did This Get Made, a comedy podcast where we deconstruct, make fun of, and celebrate the best, worst movies ever made.
Have you ever seen a movie that's so bad that it's actually good? That's what we're talking about.
From blockbuster franchises and made-for-TV romances
to bonkers 80s action flicks and obscure sci-fi musicals, we cover it all.
You can find How Did This Get Made wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow the show so you never miss an episode, idiot.
At Strayer University, we help students like you go from will I to why not. For over 130 years, we've been innovating higher education to make it more affordable, accessible, and attainable so you can reach your goals. Go from thinking, can I, to yes, I can, and keep striving. Visit strayer.edu to learn more. Strayer University is certified to operate in Virginia by Chev and has many campuses, including at 2121 15th Street North in Arlington, Virginia.